While conducting a PMCS of their vehicle, a soldier discovers that a critical part is broken. The vehicle is needed for an upcoming mission, so the commander needs to know. The soldier could tell the commander directly, but if they do that, the commander will ask, "Why are you coming to me with this? What did maintenance say?" So the soldier tells the maintenance NCO. The maintenance NCO investigates it and discovers they can't fix the issue. They don't have any replacement parts either. So the maintenance NCO tells the commander the vehicle is deadlined. This common scenario is an example of knowledge flow, getting important information or knowledge from someone who has it to someone who needs it. It's simple, right? This type of exchange forms the very foundation of how today's Army operates. But what happens when the maintenance NCO goes on leave, or mission requirements change? What happens when numerous different issues arise simultaneously? The amount of knowledge a leader engages with can multiply in seconds, becoming an overwhelming flood, even before we add other echelons into the mix. We operate in an environment containing trillions of information sources. Too much for one person to know everything. Yet Army leaders, not just commanders but staffs as well, must consider much of this information to develop plans, determine recommendations, and make decisions that will lead to mission success. Organizing, connecting, and sharing this information is the very heart of knowledge management, or KM. But before we specifically discuss knowledge management, we need to know, where does knowledge come from? Let's consider a unit's PT test. Each of these dots are individual test scores. Green dots are passing tests, red dots are soldiers that failed. Each individual score is a data point, collectively referred to as the data. Data points are singular facts, direct observations, or experiences, in this case, whether a soldier passed or failed. While a single data point may be important to an individual, it rarely helps a leader make a decision. Leaders and their staffs need to view things more collectively. This requires converting the data points into information. Information connects or collects relevant data points into a more structured, organized manner. In the Army, information is typically presented as metrics, tables, graphs, even our red, amber, green system. So if we consolidate the data points from our PT test, 73% of the unit failed. Obviously, the commander needs to understand what happened here. To figure that out, we need to synthesize the information into knowledge. Knowledge collects additional information to provide useful context for decision makers. So what is an information set that is not directly related to the PT test but immensely contextual? 80% of the unit did an 18-mile ruck march the night prior. Now we have knowledge. The unit bombed the PT test because of the ruck march. Leadership can now proactively ensure that, in the future, they won't plan these events back to back. Except we're not done. 6 months later, a new leadership team is in place. They didn't witness any of the original PT test and ruck march. Luckily, the previous leadership codified what they learned about ruck marches and PT test, so the new leaders won't repeat the mistakes. This creates a shared understanding, which is an actionable transfer of knowledge. This conversion of data into shared understanding allows a leader's decision-making to transform from something high-risk and reactionary, "we need to fix this issue," into something more low-risk and anticipatory, "we can prevent this issue." Unfortunately, most Army organizations rarely achieve shared understanding. Many staffs struggle to synthesize information into knowledge. They tend to operate in this range, between information and knowledge. This forces decision makers to determine their own context and actions, likely without having all of the relevant necessary information. Now, it's likely individuals in your unit or command already have some of this knowledge, or organizational knowledge. This is the collection of experiences had by members within an organization. However, knowledge flow and knowledge management is providing knowledge to people who don't know. Because soldiers transition every couple of years, there are always new personnel who don't have the same organizational or contextual knowledge. The knowledge that already exists must be elevated into shared understanding, and that is achieved through knowledge management. A command's appointed KM professionals, the knowledge management officer and representatives, help guide organizations through the KM process, which enables knowledge flow to enhance shared understanding, learning, and decision making. That's the Army definition, by the way. They accomplish this by assisting staffs through the iterative KM cycle: assess, design, develop, pilot, and implement. This helps everyone find where knowledge flow is hindered and determine the best way to address it so everyone can benefit. A command's success is not about what an individual knows. It relies on the wealth of experiences from the most junior to the most senior ranking soldiers, because everyone has knowledge that needs to be shared. Improving knowledge flow through knowledge management is essential to achieving a shared understanding across a command. By doing this, a command can improve its efficiency, sustainability, reaction speed, and organizational cohesion, and doing that helps guarantee mission success.